Joining me now is Victor Jones. He's the CEO of Doe, which is a sponsor of ours. He's also a board member of Greenwood Project, which gets young kids into finance. It's really cool. I want to talk about that in a sec. But Victor, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so for folks who don't know, what in the world is Doe?
All right, so Doe is essentially a mobile app for saving, investing, and trading. If I maybe take you back and tell you a little bit about my background.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, I spent about 13 years, I was formerly the director of operations and trading over at TD Ameritrade. And larger brokerages and institutions were essentially targeting people with greater than $250,000 of investable assets. Which, great for you if you've got it, but there's a large percentage of people out there that do not.
That is definitely true.
And so our group of people, we left TD Ameritrade, we left Merrill Lynch, we left Goldman Sachs, we left some of the most innovative startups in Chicago to come together under a common mission, which was to build a mobile application that would help those people who didn't necessarily have those types of assets. And frankly, maybe they weren't nearing retirement, which is what a lot of these larger institutions focus on. We are for, you're 20, 25, 30 years old and you want to get started in the market, you want to participate, that's exactly what we're building, an experience for those people.
Well, there's a lot of logic in that if you're, from a business perspective, because you seem to be catering to about 99% of us, right?
That's right.
And younger generations that are totally ignored by the market, so you're filling a market need. But I do want to go back to your history, I'm glad you brought it up.
All right.
Because the job you had at TD Ameritrade was a pretty badass job. So how'd you get there? That's a tough position to get.
It definitely was a comfortable position. And we took a lot of risk by leaving the firms that we left to come into this one. I started when I was 20 years old. When I started, I was essentially going to school at night, I was working during the day, and somebody gave me a seat. They gave me an opportunity, and I promised myself and my family we were going to make the most of this particular opportunity, which is, we'll talk about Greenwood Project in a second, but one of their mottos is there is no limitation on talent, there's only limitations on opportunity. So if you give people opportunity, regardless of what they look like, regardless of how old they are, you could be surprised by what they're able to give back to the community.
No, I love that. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up originally Battle Creek, Michigan, which is the home of Kellogg's cereal. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, though.
All right, and so yeah, because look, keeping it real, you're from Omaha and you're African American. Not a great situation to get a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and not only that, if you want to be in financial services, like Omaha, with the exception of TD Ameritrade, there's not many firms out there to participate in. I'll do you one more, just since we're talking about diversity. Look, there needs to be more opportunities within financial services for people who have pigmentation that look like me. And I think 20% or 1 out of 5 people that are African American or Hispanic are likely to open up an account. That's versus maybe 1 out of 3 for their Asian and Caucasian counterparts. And I think you can get there, but the faces have to look a little bit different. The business has to look a little bit different. Your mission has to be a little bit different in order to speak to those communities. And I think we've done a good job so far about building a brand and a product and a service that appeals to everybody, not just individual segments of the population.
So how, what is it about Doe that's more open to those folks?
Sure. So what we did about 16 months ago was essentially start out building a mobile investing app. Most people, they get daunted by the application process. It can take you 15 minutes to 2 days at some of these large institutions. It takes you less than 3 minutes to open an account at Doe. The second thing is, most people are not comfortable with risk, Cenk. They're just not comfortable with it. Look, you work hard for money. The last thing you want to do is see it go down in value. So we want to help people learn about the concept of risk. And one of the ways we do it is we give everybody free stock. If you open an account with Doe, we give you a free share of stock. You tell your friend, your neighbor, your family member about us, you get a free share of stock. And what that does is you get the opportunity to participate in market upside without necessarily having to put in your own capital to experience what risk on the downside feels like. And the second thing is, it's just education. We build content, the same thing that you do here every single day, we're working to do in Chicago, because 53% of people, if they've never invested before, They don't feel comfortable making their own investment decisions. And that's understandable. The only way you get there though is through education and through content, and that's exactly what our firm does. But we don't do it by talking above people. You go to any of these firms and they treat you like you're less than because you don't know the lingo in financial services. Well, guess what? People are using their time and their passion and their lives in the pursuit of their life's mission. And because they don't know these things over here doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have the capability. So we want to be people's peers and we don't want to talk at them. I think all of those things kind of represent what our firm is.
See, you guys doing content, even though you're a financial institution, is also trippy. I want to talk about that in a second too.
Sure.
But so I just want to understand the concept. So like if I was one of the first people to use E-Trade, to take another example,
sure.
right? In the way you guys are doing it, I would have gotten stock in E-Trade. So whatever money I made investing, I would have made, plus I would have made the money from being an investor in E-Trade. Is that right?
That's right, that's right. So you essentially, we would grant you free stock, and then you could put your own money in to invest, and then the free stock that we gave you could appreciate in value. And you could literally, you could get a stock worth $2, or you can get a stock worth 200. It's kind of a random gamification that we do. But yeah, you could get any sort of value. It's literally free money, and all you have to do is spend the 3 minutes to get started.
So I can't help but ask, I know there's a lot of topics to come back to now, but so how do you guys make money? Because what
Yeah.
like with zero commission?
That's right.
That doesn't seem like the normal strategy for how to make money in finance.
It definitely doesn't. So let me talk about that. Before I get into how we get money, how we make money, let's talk about the industry. This is an industry which had nearly 50% margins for years. And I want you to think about this. Think about your experience when it comes to selecting a movie at night, your Netflix experience, or selecting a song, your Spotify experience. Those are fairly intuitive experiences built by really smart technology and really smart engineering. They're pleasant experiences. Now I want you to think about any time you may have participated in the marketplace. It's daunting, it's confusing, and it's nearly impossible to traverse unless you've spent the year to 2 years to figure out what you're doing. So the point is, how does an industry with 50% margins not use some of that capital to actually innovate and put that into the technology, put that into the experience? I'll tell you how. The top 3 firms were spending $200 million in marketing every single year. So they're literally out there spending the money just to get the message in front of you. And we have a completely different model. We are spending it in you. We're investing in you. We're giving you free stock to come in. We're not going to spend hundreds of $millions out there in the marketplace, which also means we don't have those crazy spends that some of the other firms do. And the last thing is, what isn't really known, kind of a secret about the broker space, 70 to 90% of all these firms' revenues, they didn't come from the transaction. So we as the investing public, we think, oh, that's how they make their money, but the reality is there are many other ways to monetize that business, and that's exactly how we take advantage and monetize the model. We just don't charge the customer at the end, and there's still a room for a healthy business over the long term.
So, but you still got to make money somehow. So with the zero,
let's do the specifics.
Yeah, no. So since you're doing zero commission and you don't have minimums, you don't have any of that, is it a subscription business?
So in time, what'll happen is you build scale through the difference in the cash that you have, that you're making on the back end, and the rates that you're paying out. So for instance, you put money in a checking account, they pay you whatever, they pay you 0.1% now. Well, they're making much more than that on the back end, so that spread is an opportunity for all financial firms that are managing cash to make money. So that's one way.
Okay,
that's
that
the
makes
biggest
sense.
way.
Okay.
The second way is through subscriptions. So in time, we'll build on new services, we'll put them behind a paywall, and that's an opportunity for us in the long term. And there's a couple of other methods that are a little bit specific to the industry, but it's called securities lending and margin. Those types of things generate a revenue as well.
But if you do a subscription base, to me it's more logical because then you're not incentivized to try to get people to do more trading.
That's right.
Because more trading might be good for them or it might be bad for them.
That's exactly right. So we will work in time. We launched, most people don't know this, we launched with a $1 a month subscription model. But We quickly found out for most of our users, they were like, look, I'm just trying to get started. I don't want to even though you're gonna give me a year free, I don't even want to worry about your $1 a month. So we were like, look, we got it. So within 3 months, we got rid of the $1 subscription model.
Right.
We'll put some more advanced subscriptions in a little bit later, but at least you can participate today and you don't pay the subscription.
Okay, Greenwood Project.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so what is it? How do you get young people involved?
All right, so this is what the Greenwood Project is. It was started a few years back by a gentleman named Bhavan Joseph and Eloise Joseph in Chicago. They came from the financial service industry, and what they noticed, obviously, was that there wasn't a lot of diversity in financial services. So they left very comfortable positions to do something about it. And what the Greenwood Project does specifically is give minority students who wouldn't have the access to social capital to get a job in financial services. It provides them with education as well as connections to financial companies to get them long-term careers. And just as to speak about what this group has done, 68% of the students that have gone through this program, 68% of the students that have gone through this program have received long-term employment in financial services. 100 of them have received college acceptance, and 100% have received college graduation. So it's an amazing program.
No, I love it. I love it. If you want to get involved, by the way, guys, greenwoodproject.org. So this is how you give back. And so, look, I mentioned in the beginning they're sponsors. Part of the reason that they're sponsors is because we try to find companies that match our ethos. And so whether it's giving back through charity or through projects like this, or the core business model, which is empowering people.
That's right.
Right, and giving them information. So they do podcasts, they do videos, which is different, right? But I like it because you're right, Victor. How the hell are people supposed to know how to do? Like when you say finance, everybody wigs out. Like, it's so scary. I don't know how to do it. So they show you piece by piece how to do it, get you warmed up. And since it's low risk with no fees, et cetera, makes sense. You see with a lot of our sponsors, it's empowering people. And so I love that they're doing that. And so that's doe.com/TYT if you care about that portion of it. But I love that you're doing both. So thank you, Victor.
Thank you very much for having me.
On the go, don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.